We are now talking to Missouri head baseball coach Steve Bieser. What's going on, Coach?
Oh man, all kinds of things going on this time. We're in the recruiting season without actually seeing players, and just really kind of getting ready for the holiday weekend. Normally we're out on the front, but get a chance to spend some time with the family at a time of the year that typically we don't get that opportunity. So, trying to make the best of a tough situation.
How are you? How are you and your family doing right now with this pandemic? I mean, like you were saying. I mean, there's just so much there. We don't know what stage it's in. In certain areas, it's in stage 2, stage 1. Here in New York, in the city, it's in stage 2, and we're already in stage 3. We're going into stage 4. What is it like over there where you're from?
Yeah, it's just crazy because there's so much uncertainty, and I think different parts of the country are experiencing this at different times, and here in the Midwest, I think we're all just curious of how hard are we going to get hit in the second wave, and it just seems like we're still in phase 1, where things have kind of continued to die down quite a bit, but. I think as far as how's my family doing, I think my wife is kind of in uncharted waters because she's not used to seeing a whole lot of, June and July are the recruiting season for college baseball. So I've been around the house a lot more than normal, and I think we're all just adjusting to the new style. Zoom calls are something that very frequent. I mean, probably averaging 3 to 4 Zoom calls a day, and just finding different ways to do things.
Coach, why don't you be honest? Your wife wants you out of the house. I mean, seriously, what does women want more than anything? They want the man out of the house. They want him to, do what they love to do and get him out of the house. Am I right or wrong?
You may be right in that case. I think with my wife, she's so used to baseball being our life, and as a player, you're gone a lot, and then settled down for 9 years and coached high school baseball and was going to kind of just stay rooted in one area, and I just got the itch to go to college, and it's kind of, it all ramps back up. It's a different time of the year and different type of being gone, but, it's something that she's weathered that entire storm as, she's the high school sweetheart that started me from, down in the high school Legion days and worked her way all the way through this. So she's been quite a trooper.
Sounds like a good woman.
No doubt.
Why don't we get into some Missouri baseball? Now, I asked a lot of coaches. We've interviewed a lot of baseball coaches, and I'll tell you this. The first question I always ask is, and I don't want to ask you first, so I want to get into your recruitment and really your thoughts on, you were just talking about this is recruitment season. How do you go into a particular player's house and really pitch Missouri baseball and really the academics, the school as a whole, and how do you have them draw to you where they decide to go and play for you?
Well, I think first and foremost is the University of Missouri is a huge draw. I mean, from an academic standpoint, over 300 degree programs and just the history of academics and success that people's had coming out of the University of Missouri. So we're always focused on the education side of it, and from academics, we're looking for high achievers in the classroom, because I'm a firm believer of high achievers in the classroom are high achievers in life in general, and if they're willing to put that effort forth on something that you may not be crazy to do, to show up to class every day and learn, how much more are they going to be when they hit the baseball field. But, we're recruiting to a very storied baseball program. I think the things that people don't know about the University of Missouri is there's been Baseball America reports talking about the most productive major leaguers over the last decade of I think we're ranked number 5 with the most productive major leaguers, and that includes your Max Scherzers and Ian Kinsler and Kyle Gibson, Aaron Crow. There's just been a lot of success here, especially on the pitching front. But to go along with that, the number of and just in general, I think we're one of 40 schools that's won a national championship. Now, it's been a long time, but all those things, that the history that's been here, and what we're building on and feel very confident in, is just the baseball development that we can create at the University of Missouri. So it's just a great place. It's a great place to live. It's a great community. So there's a big draw, and the fact that we're SEC. I mean, there's just so many draws, and makes the recruiting life it's challenging because we're competing against the top programs in the country for recruits. But it's different than when I was recruiting at Southeast Missouri State. Just that the challenges are always different.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about that. Being in the SEC, is it harder to recruit with other baseball talents still there, Florida, LSU, teams like that are really dominating in that conference? Does that make it harder, or does the SEC lure help a little more when developing an entire team with a larger baseball roster?
Well, the SEC does lure more athletes that want to come and play in the SEC. So you've got more athletes, and they're top-end athletes. So you are competing not only against the other 13 schools in the SEC, but you're competing against ACC, Big 12, Pac-12. You're competing across the country for the top 500 players in the country every single year. So that is a challenge. So when you talk about, we used to joke at Southeast when we were there that, we were probably going to get 1 out of 100 guys that we contact and communicate with. I don't know that those numbers are a whole lot better because we're just dealing with a different clientele there. So you gotta be relentless, and you've got to understand and accept that you're going to hear some no's. But I think getting disappointed about the no's is really where people kind of, get caught up and maybe get a little dejected and depressed. But we just keep going after the top players, and that has worked, and we're slowly getting this. We feel like we've got a really good recruiting class coming in this year, and better one next year, and it just it's continuing. The ball's starting to roll in the right direction, and we feel very confident about the program here.
We are talking to Missouri head baseball coach Steve Bieser. Now, Coach, I've seen some of the guys that you've coached. What was the player that stood out the most to you that has moved on to the MLB and really thrived as a leader of boys in the major leagues?
Yeah, I think the guy that personally I've coached is Joey Lucchese, the Padres. I think he slotted in that number 2 or number 3 role as a starting pitcher, but just his story in general of being a guy that didn't play his high school senior season, was at a junior college, got redshirted the first year, and then started pitching there, and then came on. We got him convinced to come to Southeast Missouri State, and to watch his junior year, very good year, but then his senior year, such a dominant year, and just kind of to see that, and I guess maybe I've got a soft spot for those late bloomers and guys that were kind of long shots. That his never give in attitude, and then just him building the confidence over those years, and then getting an opportunity, and then seeing how quickly he rose to the minor leagues to get to the major leagues. So to me, that's one of the best stories that I've coached up to this point. And I think I've got several guys right now knocking on the door of being major leaguers as well. So, Shea Simmons, I guess, would be another story of rising through the ranks pretty quick, and being a later round draft pick and getting to the Braves as the setup man for Kimbrel, and just those are 2 guys that I think are being long shots and then jumping and rising quickly are good stories.
One of the guys that you just coached last year was one of the best starting pitchers in college baseball last year was TJ Sakuma, and then he got drafted last year in the MLB draft. What impressed you the most about his game last year and his pitching style, and how much do you think it could translate into the majors?
Yeah, I mean, what TJ has, you don't teach and you can't teach. I mean, he's such a bulldog when he hits the mound. His confidence, he's confident in everything that he does. And I think TJ is a guy that, from an arm slot, he just creates a lot of havoc. And I think he could rise very quickly to the major league level, especially as a lefty on lefty. It's a guy that I don't think any lefty wants to face. But I could see him being a bullpen guy really quick. Not to discount that he can't be a starter because he's been so successful in that role as well. But to get there quickly, I think he's ready to get some outs, so he gets some pretty good hitters at a high level.
Coach, what is your thoughts to Tommy Johns? We've talked to coaches throughout the major leagues and really the coaches to college baseball. And Tommy John surgery has been really taken over, not only for the pitchers, now players. I mean, we saw that with Gleyber Torres. We've seen this over and over again, and we saw it from even shortstops from the New York Yankees in Didi Gregorius, who tore his
I forget UCL. I think
UCL.
It was. Yeah.
When you look at the positioning of the arm and really what these players are doing at a young age, what do you think is the cause of Tommy John surgery in your mind?
I think the biggest thing is just the number of games that our athletes play these days. I think it's like anything that, eventually something's going to wear out if you use it enough. And I think that we're seeing, especially you're seeing teenagers coming through, whether that's 10U to, 15U, and those guys, as they're still developing, are playing, 60, 70 games a summer. And I remember when I was playing, if we played 20 games a summer, that was a lot. I mean, we didn't play a lot of pickup baseball, but you lose, it's just like a major league season. Everybody really amps up and gets completely prepared in the off season, and they're doing all this work. And as the season starts and the season starts to wear on, you lose some of those good habits you have from arm care and maybe getting in the weight room regularly and staying conditioned. And as your body tires, you're going to be more susceptible to injury. So I just think it's probably it's an overuse issue, as well as our athletes they're just more dynamic. They're more explosive. They're stronger. They're faster. They throw harder. All those things are contributing. And I don't know if it's anything that we can prevent. And knock on wood, we've been very, very successful in the programs that I've been coaching at, and really haven't had to deal with that. And hope that we can continue to kind of do some of the things that we believe in and keep our players healthy.
You're mentioning both programs that you have been part of, Southeast Missouri State before that, and now obviously with Missouri. Missouri with MLB has always been both the Cardinals and the Royals have always had passionate fan bases for MLB. Do you see that at the college level? And do you think it is something that helps recruiting, them being able to play with for these great crowds?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. The SEC it's crazy, the support that you get. The LSUs of the world drawing 15,000. And I think one of the tough things for us in drawing fans, and we have a very passionate fan base. Early in the season, games are a little bit cooler. It doesn't seem, when you're playing college baseball, it just doesn't seem like baseball season when you start mid-February. But as the weather warms up and we get closer to, we get into that late March and late April, our fan base comes out and really supports. But, the thing that our fan base has that a lot of other SEC schools fan base don't have is the fact that, we can drive an hour and 40 minutes to the east or an hour and 40 minutes to the west, and we can watch Major League Baseball and good Major League Baseball with the Royals and the Cardinals. So there's so many passionate baseball fans, especially in Columbia, sitting right in the middle of those two hot spots for Major League Baseball.